Hello everyone. So I was digging deeper and deeper in ChatGPT. I honestly am so impressed with this tool that I actually subscribed for the ChatGPT Plus, which has priority in terms of bandwidth and downtimes. We don't get that as often as others. And I've been spending quite a while on the tool, and I use it a lot. Mainly, I use it to develop the YouTube scripts for my videos. It helps me a lot. It helped me actually cut down the time it takes me to take care of such videos from like around 7 to 10 days to a couple of days, which is really significant. Now, the more I spent on this tool, the more my mind wonders what is coming in the next months or years. And I probably it's going to be months rather than years where we see more capabilities of AI systems out there. And you'll have to wonder how that will impact business in general. Now, for me, maybe I'm looking deeper into procurement and supply chain, but it affects everything. It's a really smart system. It will do a lot in the future. It can do a lot today. So I wanted to share with everyone an interesting thing I've done with it and what ChatGPT actually gave me as inputs. So basically what I've done is I created a hypothetical case, procurement case, so a project in Nigeria. I'll take you through the details in a while. You can see it on the screen in a second. But basically, I put certain risks, certain challenges, certain limitations, the nature of the project, location, certain complexities that sometimes we get on projects, sometimes not. I asked it a couple of questions that I'm pretty sure will be interesting for everyone within the procurement field, particularly, and even supply chain and business in general. And maybe, after we cover that case study, that I will feed it to ChatGPT with questions and see how it answers. Maybe at the end, I will reflect on what I think this means and what I think we should do as professionals going forward. So let me just take you quickly through the case study that I have, and we'll take it from there. So if you can see on the screen, we have a project in Nigeria. The project is to deliver a telecom system for an oil and gas control room to replace an existing outdated one. The system includes elements developed and designed by our own company, but also includes systems to be subcontracted and procured to complete the scope. Those are the telephony system, public address system, mobile switching system, access control system, and CCTV system. Basically, that's our procurement scope. That's what we need to acquire from our suppliers. Scope includes all hardware and software for all systems, including an integrated system for the operators inside, and workstations and needed software to monitor and control all systems from a centralized location. Also part of the scope is to install all systems within the control room through local contractors. The location of the system is in Lagos, Nigeria, and all material will be shipped through Lagos port. Now I selected Lagos and Nigeria as a random location, somehow central to the other locations that you see, which probably in my mind would be harder, I thought, for the AI to answer some aspects. The system hardware would be shipped from the US, UK, France, and China. It will be all assembled, integrated, inspected, and commissioned on site in Lagos. So that's clear. There have been disruptions noticed in shipping routes from US and China to Lagos. Ideally, the selected subcontractor would design the system, outsourced to them, and based on the design, develop the scope of work and deal with different OEMs for each of the mentioned systems separately and place sub-orders on all OEMs in different locations, again, US, UK, France, and China, as mentioned before, to eventually have all of them send equipment to Lagos in a specific time frame. Now, I gave him 3 suppliers and with 3 unique attributes to each suppliers and challenges to see how would the AI respond and give me the best option. So supplier 1 is a US-based company with experience only within the States on delivering such systems and with the price as the lowest bidder and delivery date that is within our schedule to deliver in 12 months to customer, but with limited contingency. Also, a hedge fund has publicly announced their interest to acquire this company. company. So this is a twist I thought to add and see, how the AI will react. Nothing we face every day. In many cases, we scramble and makes decision making to award such supplier very difficult with such uncertainty. Supplier 2 is UK based and has experience in Europe and Middle East executing such projects and systems. Their price is second lowest, but their delivery is ahead of the needed target to deliver to our customer, offering good contingency. But we also see high turnover in their employee base during communications with them. Supplier 3 is a Middle East based supplier, and it is the highest price. This supplier has done and delivered similar projects in Nigeria, but while acceptable to our customer, they are not favored. And their committed delivery is beyond the committed schedule to our customer. But they are committed to improving during execution and meeting deadlines. So one other challenge and typical case I think many of us face where customer is not favoring a supplier, which puts pressure usually on the business when we are making the decision, but still nothing stopping us from that. But those are the highest price, most experienced in Nigeria, with certain challenges that we need to figure out as we consider the decision, mostly around their ability to deliver. So they're promising that they will deliver on time, and we face that a lot, but there's nothing concrete that tells us they will or they won't. Also, it's worthwhile to note, as mentioned in the case study, we have never worked with any of those suppliers before, and while the highest price is within budget, we are trying to maximize savings to take in consideration risks and unaccounted costs that might come up during execution. So now I will start my line of questioning to ChatGPT and we'll go over the answers one by one. So basically you can see the first question I already wrote, and I will copy paste the whole thing, and then I'll add up to those questions after the initial one. So the first question I'll be asking ChatGPT is, based on the above case, what is the best course of action and to which supplier should we award to have the highest probability of success on the project? So let me copy everything here and we'll go to ChatGPT and I'll simply paste with the first question and hit enter. You can see the speed of response, which is astonishing. And you can see it's already looking into deep aspects of the case study and the challenges we probably will be facing on such project. So I'll go over the response once it's done, just to let you have a taste of the level of insight that such a tool can give us. So let's look at the response we got so far from ChatGPT. Based on the information provided, it seems that supplier 2, the UK-based company, is the best option to award the project to. Here are some reasons to support this recommendation. Experience in executing similar projects in the relevant region. Supplier 3 has delivered similar projects in Nigeria but is not favored by the customer, while supplier 1 has limited experience delivering such systems outside the US. On the other hand, supplier 2 has experience executing similar projects in Europe and the Middle East, which suggests that they are familiar with the challenges that can arise in developing countries. So that's a very smart way to look at it. On-time delivery with good contingency. Supplier 2's delivery schedule is ahead of the needed targets and offers good contingency, which provides a level of comfort in case of unexpected delays or disruptions in shipping routes. Competitively priced, while supplier 3 is the highest priced, supplier 2's price is still within budget and offers good value for money considering their experience, delivery schedule, and contingency. Employee turnover. While it is a concern that supplier 2 has had high turnover in their employee base, this might not be a major risk factor since the supplier has experience executing similar projects in challenging environments. However, it may be worth exploring further during the contract negotiation phase. It is also worth noting that customers' preferences should be taken into consideration, as their satisfaction is crucial for the success of the project. However, if the concerns about supplier 3 can be addressed and supplier 2 is still the most favorable option based on the above factor, it may be worth negotiating with them to ensure successful project delivery. If you think of it, it's a pretty damn good answer. And basically it is recommending that we go with supplier 2, with the highlight that if we can address certain aspects with supplier 3, we probably should be considering negotiating with them as well. So that could be a good alternative. So really good answer overall. High level answer, I would say, with the information that was provided to the tool. Again, understand this is something I've worked on for 10 minutes, put some information, and I am dumping it to ChatGPT. Now, the more information you give it, the better answers you will get, the more detailed answers you will get. So let's carry on and see what other questions I have for it and how it will answer. So my second question, if I would award supplier 2, can you write the needed contract terms at length in a fully articulated contract sample that would cover all my company risk, the known unknowns, and also minimize or eliminate the unknown unknowns and any potential liabilities specifically based on the information listed before relating to my project? I am not looking for legal advice, but a contract text that can help me develop my own with legal, which is closest to my case above. Something worthwhile to know, when you start having those conversations with ChatGPT, it will give you a disclaimer that it's an AI tool that shouldn't give you legal advice. So this is why I'm writing something around that. I'm not looking for a legal advice here, just to get ChatGPT to chill a little bit while answering this. So let's see how the tool will react to this question. Go to ChatGPT. So automatically you can see the disclaimer up there, but now ChatGPT is starting to put in the terms of such contracts. It might not be the fully detailed articulated terms that you would expect, but if you consider the limited information that it has and the level of detail the tool is giving you when it comes to terms and conditions, it's really impressive. So I will not read this part in every detail. I probably will cover some of them. And by the way, the more follow-up questions you ask, the more you will get out of it. So basically, I can give it more information about a certain supplier, more terms and details, such as the customer contract that I probably have. And the more I feed the tool, the better and more focused answers I will get. You have to try for yourself to see the level of detail the tool can go to. Let's just quickly review what the tool gave us, what ChatGPT is telling us here. So as a language model, I am not authorized to provide legal advice or draft legal contracts. However, I can provide you with a list of clauses that you should consider including in your contract with supplier 2 to cover the company's risks and liabilities. So it understands that, I will not give you a contract or legal advice. This is not legal advice, but this is these are the things that we need to consider while developing the contract. Some of it is obvious, some of it is just astonishing that the tool is doing that for us now. So scope of work, define the scope of the project in detail, including all hardware, software for all systems, as well as integrated system for operators in the form of workstations and needed software to monitor and control all systems. Okay, so repeating the scope, high-level description. The contract should also specify the responsibilities of the supplier in designing, procuring, and installing the different systems, as well as the roles and responsibilities of your company in managing the project and providing support to the supplier. Schedule and milestones, specify the project schedule and milestones, including delivery dates for all the equipments and systems, as well as installation and commissioning schedule. The contract should also include provisions for contingency plans in case of unexpected delays or disruptions. Payment terms, so define the payment terms, including the total project price, milestone payments, and so forth. You may also want to include provisions for penalties or incentives based on the project performance, as well as provisions for adjusting the contract price in case of changes in the project scope or schedule. Okay. Warranty and maintenance, risk management and insurance. Specify the risk management strategies for the project, including the allocation and risks between the company and the supplier. You may also want to include provisions for insurance coverage to mitigate risks and liabilities, including provisions and liability insurance, property insurance, and other type of insurance as needed. Change management and termination. These are just some of the clauses that you should consider, including. Now, as I mentioned, these are high level. We can dig deeper. So for example, I'll just show you a random example. You will see that the more you have conversations with the tool, the more it will give you details. So it will not dump everything in one shot. You'll have to keep driving that information out of it. And again, the details. So if I spent, let's say, 2 hours building that case with much more detail, with much more description, definitely it will be a totally different story from my experience with the tool of what I will be getting. So I'll just start reading while it's generating the output. Executing a project in a location such as Lagos, Nigeria can present a number of specific and most concerning risks that you should consider when drafting your contract with supplier 2. Here are some key risks and suggested contract terms that can help minimize their impact. Political and social instability. Nigeria has experienced periods of political and social instability, which can pose a risk to the project. To minimize the risk, you may want to include a force majeure clause. So this is, for example, security risk. Lagos can be a high-risk location for crime and other security threats, which can impact the safety of your employees and the security of your project. To minimize the risk, you may want to include provisions for security measures and protocols, such as background checks for personnel, security personnel on site, and secure transportation and storage of equipment and material. Customs and shipping delays. Shipping routes to Lagos can be disrupted or delayed, which can impact the delivery schedule and the cost to the project. Quality control. So I'm not going to the detail, but I'm just showing you the level of areas the tool is highlighting to me as something I need to worry about while developing the contract with supplier 2. The quality of local contractors and suppliers in Lagos may vary, which can impact the quality and the reliability of the project. To minimize this risk, you may want to include provisions for quality control and inspection, including inspection of local contractors and suppliers, and provisions for addressing defects and non-compliance. This is a very important one. So we're looking at a location with suppliers we don't have knowledge about, we never dealt with them, and their ability to deliver and install on site will affect at some point the whole project. So even if we get everything delivered on time, the right quality, without an issue, and we have contractors with low or no experience, or we selected really bad ones, that would basically affect negatively the whole project and probably the relationship with the customer. Currency exchange and inflation risk. So the currency exchange rate and inflation rate in Nigeria can be volatile, which can impact the cost and profitability of the project. To minimize. So see, even it is looking now at the financial aspects of doing a project in Nigeria. So I assume anyone from procurement or within procurement looking at this now on the screen and realizing that we're talking about a tool that has been out there for a month or more, an AI tool that is able to deliver such analysis and is able to deliver such detailed answers to complex questions that we never had a similar tool in the past that can do this, not even close to this, okay? So that's pretty impressive. And I understand that's also pretty scary for many people out there watching, or even people who already tried the tool in other areas. So let's keep going with this. So now we'll go into the sustainability part of things. So I will ask it a question around sustainability. Okay, so I'm asking it, based on the different jurisdictions mentioned, which location or locations are the most optimized for least carbon footprint effect for shipping or of shipping? You can see it's already rolling all the answers. So let me start reading while it's generating the answer. So shipping has a significant carbon footprint and can contribute to climate change. However, the carbon footprint of shipping can vary depending on a number of factors, including the mode of transport, the distance traveled, and the type of cargo being shipped. In general, shipping by sea is the most carbon efficient mode of transportation for long distances, followed by shipping by rail and then by road. Shipping by air is the most carbon intensive mode of transport and should be avoided whenever possible to minimize carbon footprint. Based on the information provided, it is difficult to determine which locations are the most optimized for least carbon footprint effect of shipping. as it would depend on the mode of transport and distance traveled and the type of cargo being shipped. Some general recommendations for reducing the carbon footprint of shipping include use of the most carbon efficient mode of transport whenever possible, consolidate shipments, use low carbon fuels, optimize shipping routes, use efficient shipping methods. These are just some of the general recommendations for reducing the carbon footprint of shipping. The specific measures are most optimized for your project would depend on a number of factors, including the mode of transport, the distance traveled, and the type of cargo being shipped. So you can see it's giving me somehow a generic answer. It's trying to avoid a recommendation because it's not having the proper information. Still, I can follow up with a question. So let us, for the fun of it, ask it a question to still give us a recommendation on location and see how it responds to the question. So it's answering, you can see. So assuming that all shipping will happen by sea, the most optimized location to get the most material for your project would depend on a number of factors, including the location. Okay. It's repeating that part. Okay. Based on the information provided, it seems that the suppliers are located in the US, UK, France, and China. Of these locations, the supplier in the US would likely be the most distant and therefore the least optimized, while the suppliers in the UK, France, and China would likely be closer and more optimized. However, the specific shipping routes and distances would need to be analyzed to determine the most optimized location to get most material. It is also worth considering other factors such as the cost and reliability of the suppliers, the availability of the materials and equipment needed for the project, and the lead times of delivery. Okay. Ultimately, the decision of which location to source the most material from would depend on a number of factors. Okay, so it gave me a little bit more to work with. Again, I can keep following up in questions and getting more out of it to get more detailed answers. It might require me digging deeper, or it might require me exposing more information to the tool. So let's go back to the case study quickly. I have still a couple of questions. So basically here I'm asking it around law jurisdiction and contract law. So what is the recommended? So basically I'm asking it also based on the case, what is the best law to refer to in the contract for disputes, arbitration, or other cases? So again, I'm not going to go through this. Basically here it's going to tell me that probably you need to consult with a legal person. You need to look at the location of the project where you have it now in Nigeria. You have suppliers spread in different countries. So you have to have agreements with the suppliers, how to address the law jurisdiction, arbitration, conflict resolution. All these clauses need to be mutually agreed by lawyers within the companies. Again, an area I can keep digging into it, and I can keep getting really specific answers that will shock anyone who already maybe tried to work with the tool. Okay, so let's go to the final question in our case study. So this is the last one. So basically I'm telling it, finally, is it advisable to negotiate price to a no regret level with the supplier two before award, or would that have consequences to the project? I know this is a fun question for procurement because we always either are pressured to consider that or we think about it ourselves. So negotiating the price with supplier two to a no regret level before awarding the contract can be a sensible approach to minimize the risks and uncertainties associated with the project budget. However, it is important to ensure that the negotiated price is reasonable and realistic, and that it takes into account all relevant costs and risks associated with the project. Negotiating the price to a no regret level can provide a level of certainty and predictability in the project budget, which can help planning and managing the project effectively. It can also minimize the likelihood of unexpected costs or overruns or disputes. Okay. However, it is important to keep in mind that negotiating the price to a no regret level may require trade-offs between cost and quality, and may limit the flexibility of the project in responding to changes or changing circumstances. For example, if unexpected changes to the project scope or schedule arise, it may be difficult to accommodate them within the negotiated budget, which could impact the quality or timeline of the project. In summary, okay, so it says what we think about whenever we we are pressured, or we're under budget pressure or project pressure to get a really low price, really competitive, where we as procurement people maybe feel or fear that we are putting too much pressure on a supplier who probably needs the job or too hungry for the job, but we know down the line things always change and we might be suffering the consequences of such rough negotiation, which could be unnecessary at the award stage. So this is it for the case study. Now, if you never tried ChatGPT, probably you're shocked or impressed. The impressions I have now, like for the past month, looking at what such tool is doing and just imagining what the pipeline holds in other tools that will affect business and procurement, maybe particularly in a disruptive manner, possibly. We need to change how we do things. I think procurement and other functions in the business will always remain relevant. But the way we address our day-to-day job will have to change on a fast track and a fast pace now. As soon as possible, take out the manual transactional aspects of the job. What this tool is doing is just speeding up the end of those jobs and the end of those roles. So we need to start having in our work strategic elements. In the future, what would such innovation develop? Because this will mushroom into other ideas, mushroom into other tools that we have access to. And with time, the access to such tools will get cheaper and cheaper as, you know, the life cycle of everything. And everyone will have access to that. So the question will be, what new jobs will be within businesses, within the procurement function? How do we need to reimagine the function, reimagine businesses to be better enabled to utilize such technology and work around it? Because this kind of technology will make your business much more powerful than before. And there will be people more equipped to leverage the advantages than other businesses. There will be people and functions better leveraged to use such tools than others. No one knows what the future holds, but if you ask me, we should look through a very optimistic lens, a lens that we have today a strong possibility of a future where the mundane of every day will go away, which will give us more time in value-adding activities to maybe even relax more on the job, do more strategic things, which for procurement particularly probably will elevate where we stand within organizations. Once we put all of these things aside, we put the noise aside, procurement professionals, real procurement professionals, will be able to focus on strategy, value, and even go beyond their business to look at supply chains and complexities and risks that could come in the future. So having more bandwidth will create more value on an individual level, on a functional level, and on a business level. So I'm optimistic. I know certain people are getting concerned when they see everything that's coming out after ChatGPT and ChatGPT itself. I'm on the opposite side. The way I'm thinking, because I'm using it already. So with my YouTube channel, what used to take me 10 days or 2 weeks to develop a script, it's taking me like literally a couple of days. One day to generate the script itself and generate ideas with the help of the tool. The other one is to detail it and then just tailor it in my own words and my own character. This will happen in every area you use AI. So you're going to save time. You're going to actually get back time into your life. You're going to spend more value-focused time when you're addressing work. And I believe you're going to have more time for your personal life. If anything, such tools will increase the life and work balance challenges that many people have. So I hope you like this. And if you have any comment, if you have any questions, if you want me to test anything else with the tool, please send me a comment and I will hopefully do a video around that soon. Thank you very much.